So Jed York and his family currently own 97% of the 49ers. They are planning to sell a stake of that at the highest valuation ever in all of world sports, $8.5 billion. You can have a look right here at Jed York and the article up on the San Francisco Standard. This was first reported by Sportico this morning, and I'll explain what this means for San Francisco because it is significant and it's part of an ongoing trend in professional sports. Just do some simple math. 6% is the stake. The size of the stake the 49ers are selling. And it may be three separate stakes because three separate Bay Area families will be buying this total of 6%. 6% of an $8.5 billion valuation is about $510 million. So the 49ers stand to raise over $500 million with this sale. Now, Jed York and his family currently own 97% of the 49ers. If they sell 6%, you could do some simple math there. They will own 91% of the 49ers after this deal is ratified. The NFL has another league meeting next week in Minnesota where it is expected to approve this sale, which means that York family's controlling interest will reduce from 97% to 91%. If you remember back in February, there was a video that I made about the 49ers' desire to sell up to 10% of their team at a valuation of $9 billion. Well, so now they're set to sell 6% at a valuation of $8.5 billion. So they obviously shot for the stars and they're landing on the moon. They shot for $9 billion in the valuation and they got $8.5 billion in the transaction valuation. Let me give you some perspective right now. This is from the Forbes list of the most valuable franchises in world sports. The Dallas Cowboys, these are all estimates, by the way. So the Dallas Cowboys are at $10.1 billion. The Golden State Warriors, who lost last night, so they're going to have to pack it up and look forward to next season. They're the second most valuable sporting franchise in the world by the Forbes estimate. That's $8.8 billion for Golden State. The Rams, the most valuable football franchise by this estimate at $7.6 billion. The Yankees and the Knicks at $7.55 and $7.5 billion, respectively. The 49ers, meanwhile, are at $6.8 billion on this estimate list, which ranks number 10. However, the price for the transaction of their valuation, the 6% price, is based on an $8.5 billion valuation, which would be the highest in the NFL. And remember, this top five list, this is all based on theoretical prices. These are all based on estimates. So the 49ers price that they have achieved this sale agreement for is the highest price that has ever existed in terms of a transaction valuation. Just a couple months ago, the Philadelphia Eagles sold to a pair of minority investors for $8.1 billion in the valuation, not for $8.1 billion in the sale. The whatever the minority stake that those two new owners purchased, whatever was valued at was based on an $8.1 billion valuation. So it's a percentage of $8.1 billion. The 49ers now have set the new high water mark at $8.5 billion, which just goes to show you that the value of these professional sports teams is skyrocketing. It is a great way for Jed York and company to raise money. $510 million, again, that's 6% of the $8.5 billion is $510 million. And if the 49ers decide and are able to sell another 4%, because their stated goal back in February, according to the Sports Business Journal, was a 10% sale, that'd be another $340 million. So $510 million plus $340 million, that's quick math. It's over between $800 and $900 million. It's a cool way for the 49ers to raise nearly $1 billion. And Jed York talked about it a little bit at the NFL owners meetings. You know, he was asked if the 49ers were indeed interested in selling a portion of the team. This was in early April. It was about a month after the initial news had come out. And he was able to answer that question in, I thought, the straightforward way, one that definitely jives with what the 49ers are now actually planning to do, according to today's report.
I mean, we get approached probably on a weekly basis of somebody that's interested. And it's just one of those things where if there's an opportunity that makes sense, we would always explore that. But I'm not sure what we're going to end up doing. And if we do, we would try to find the right people that would help bolster everything that we're doing in and around the team, on the field, off the field, and just make sure that we had good partners that were with us.
So related to some of the, people that are now able to buy into teams that maybe you would get a valuation that would be just too hard to say no to, kind of thing?
No, I mean, it's more of a family conversation of, my family owns 97% of the 49ers, and it's a big asset. And you have different family members, right, that have different things that they want to do in the team, around the team, outside of the team. And it's a family asset allocation.
So that's Jed York talking about this about a month and a half ago, and now it looks like it is going to come to fruition at least 6%. And he talked about selling this to the right people, right? And again, this is just a minority stake in the team. It's not going to be a controlling interest in the team. Even after this is done, 91% of the 49ers still belong to the York family. So this is not like the 49ers, they're getting a new owner, at the surface level with somebody new calling the shots. Jed York is still the most powerful man in the 49ers building, in charge of the 49ers. But it is important for the 49ers to get the right people in there as part of the ownership group. And the three Bay Area families who are buying the total of 6% at the $8.5 billion valuation are the Khosla family, the Dieter family, and the Griffith family. Vinod Khosla is the co-founder of Sun Microsystems. He's worth over $8 billion. Brian Dieter is a partner at Bessemer Venture Partners, which is in San Francisco. And Will Griffith is a founding partner at Iconic Growth, which is in Palo Alto. So all three of those companies, including Sun Microsystems, headquartered in the Bay Area. Sun Microsystems is actually headquartered in Santa Clara, where the 49ers have their team facility and Levi's Stadium. So a really good way for the 49ers to raise money. As we know, revenues are exploding in the NFL, which is a big part of the reason why these team valuations are also skyrocketing. But so are costs. Right? As revenues increased, so does the salary cap, so do team costs. So the 49ers are currently working on a mega deal for quarterback Brock Purdy, which is going to land somewhere in the 50s in terms of average per year. And none of this stuff is cheap, but it does have to be paid. And the 49ers would like to continue being a profitable entity. They'd like to continue making money. And anytime you could sell your team at a transaction valuation that far exceeds what even the estimated valuation of the franchise is. So $8.5 billion would far exceed the $6.8 billion on Forbes. Anytime you could bring in a cool $510 million or so, you should definitely explore that. And that's what Jed York was talking about there. On top of that, there seems to be a trend in professional sports, because we saw it with the Eagles selling at an $8.1 billion valuation to two minority stakeholders. And we're seeing it with the New York Giants, who are interested, like the 49ers, in selling 10% of their team. There is a trend to sell to wealthy individuals, as opposed to selling to a larger institutional fund. And in this case, the 49ers found three partners who they're willing to sell to. This is a sale to families, obviously families with the means to be able to purchase a combined 6% of the team. But this follows the trend that we've been seeing in the rest of professional sports. And I think that it allows Jed York and the 49ers controlling interest, the controlling stakeholders, which is the York family, to maintain an environment at the team ownership level that is much more amenable to them enjoying their venture of owning the 49ers and making it easier for them to do business as opposed to selling this to some kind of institutional fund. So that is the latest for the 49ers. Good way to raise some money and a sign that San Francisco and this franchise is an truly exploding asset. I mean, if you look at, again, this is what sticks out to me. You see the valuations for teams around the world in every sport. This is the top 5 list. The Cowboys, the Warriors, who have built that from the ground up. Back when Joe Lacob bought the Warriors, he bought it for less than $1 billion, and they're now worth $8.8 billion. I mean, that's been such a tremendous investment for Lacob. He's been able to move the team into a new arena in San Francisco. The Rams, you could see why they moved to LA from St. Louis. You're not going to command that kind of estimated valuation in St. Louis, but you will in one of the top media markets in the U.S. And obviously the Yankees and the Knicks are both in that top media market in New York. The 49ers are also in one of the top dog markets, and that helps them achieve a very high valuation. It's helped the Golden State Warriors achieve a high valuation. The Warriors move from Oakland to San Francisco. You stay in the same media market, but you move to a wealthier place. And now they have their own Chase Center. Now, with the whole Steph Curry revolution that we've seen from the Warriors, they have reached absolutely new heights for an NBA team. They're worth more than the New York Knicks. Well, the 49ers want to continue climbing this chart. And, one way to help yourself in climbing the estimated valuation chart is to actually sell at a record price, to actually sell at that $8.5 billion valuation. So we're talking huge money in professional sports. Players earning big contracts. Brock Purdy is going to earn the largest contract in 49ers franchise history. And the money has to come from somewhere. It has to come from good financial dealings at the very top. And obviously, I think the numbers in this case for the 49ers are very, very sound. The controlling interest will remain the same. Now, if the York family sells up to 10%, right now this is only 6%, the sale at $8.5 billion. If they sell up to 10%, then you're going to have to take 4% more off of their controlling interest, right? So they're at 97% right now. -6 is 91%. That's probably going to get approved at the league meetings in Minnesota next week. Then you take another 4% off because their stated goal, or at least their reported goal, was 10%. That'd take it down to 87%, still controlled by Jed York and his family, which again would remain a controlling interest. So this is all based on Sportico's reporting today. This is the written version that I produced up on the San Francisco Standard. The 49ers are selling part of the team at a world record valuation. Here's what it means. Why don't you go ahead and click on the link in the description and sign up for the San Francisco Standard. There's that. There's the full schedule analysis that we did yesterday, which is the most in-depth schedule analysis that there is. And you will learn a whole lot of new stuff about the 49ers, maybe about sports and business and that entire exploding world. Now, I've got something else that's really exciting here for you guys. And I'm going to pop it open on the screen. Because this right now is only available for channel members. And as you know, a couple weeks ago, we opened up channel memberships. I'm going to give you a quick little sneak peek because I went on assignment the other day. Here you go. The newest 49ers and definitely the biggest personality of this 2025 draft class, Upton Stout, went to college here at Western Kentucky. I'm on location where I got a chance to talk to the Hilltoppers head coach, Tyson Helton, about Upton Stout's 3-year college career. I put on the tape of Upton and first 2 plays. All right, I'm going to let that play in the background. I just turned off the audio. I had a 32-minute sit-down interview with the guy up on the screen. That is Western Kentucky head coach Tyson Helton, who had some amazing insight on Upton Stout, who is the 49ers new Nickelback, who had the best initial interview and also the best phone call with John Lynch, Kyle Shanahan, and Jed York after the 49ers picked him. So we're not lazy here. I actually got up and I drove all the way out to Bowling Green, Kentucky, to Western Kentucky. They were tremendously gracious hosts over there. I sat down in the office of head coach Tyson Helton, and the interview about Upton Stout is now available on the channel. Now, those of you who have signed up as channel members to support the channel, we have a lot of gratitude for you. Oh, look, we even have an Upton Stout sizzle reel, which Western Kentucky provided me with. Why don't we watch that right now as Tyson Helton was talking about him. But those of you who have signed up to be members of the channel, you have an exclusive early look at this interview. So go ahead and sign up to be a member. It's already up on the channel. You can check it out. Why don't we have a little bit of a listen in to Tyson Helton talking about Upton Stout?
Get that quarterback to make the coverage show what they're going to do, or what's the pressure going to be. On the flip side of that, Upton, he spends a lot of time on his craft, playing that game and trying not to give those keys away. Mm-hmm. And so there is a talent in that with his blitz ability. And he's a thick body. He's not a tall body, but he's a thick guy, big shoulders, can run through people, and he has no fear. So that skill is really, really good, especially with what he's going to be doing in San Francisco.
So there you go. That is Coach Tyson Helton of Western Kentucky. That is a long interview. As you can tell, this is premium content. Nobody else on 49ers YouTube is going to these lengths. So if you want to become a channel member and have access to all this kind of stuff early, you can do it now. The video is up. I think, Mike, why don't you even drop a link to that in the description? Anyway, this is your 49ers afternoon update. A sale at an $8.5 billion valuation. 6% of the 49ers headed to three local families, three Bay Area families. That's about $510 million of total proceeds for the 49ers. That's some fundraising for San Francisco. And based on the skyrocketing valuations of professional sports teams, I think good investment. If you have that kind of money, well, then it can turn into a whole heck of a lot more money. Mike pointed out he had the numbers of how much Eddie DeBartolo Jr. bought the 49ers for. I'm going to scroll up and try to find this, because this, I think, helps put everything into perspective. Eddie DeBartolo bought the team for $13 million back in the late 1970s. Jed York is about to sell 6% for $550 million. I get that there's inflation and everything, but that goes well beyond just US dollar inflation. That actually ties into inflation in terms of the value of sports franchises. 100% of the 49ers cost $13 million in the late 1970s. 6% of the 49ers is $550 million now, or above, somewhere between 500 and 600 million now, depending on exactly what the valuation is. But the transaction valuation we know is a little bit over $8.5 billion. Dealing with some real serious cash in this situation. In August 2024, the NFL approved a measure that allows private equity firms to purchase up to 10% stakes in clubs. So if you have that ability to raise that kind of money, if your valuation means that a 10% stake is going to be near $1 billion, and you have interested buyers, and why wouldn't there be interested buyers given the skyrocketing value of professional sports teams around the world, then why don't you do that, right? That it's an easy way to print your own money, so to speak, and the 49ers will have, in all likelihood, they'll have that approved next week. Make sure to check out the story up on the San Francisco Standard, and I'm ready to answer some questions if any of you have them. And put the article back up on the screen. There we go. We're going to head into 49ers Q&A. Chris has that money in his sock drawer. He might be buying the next 4%. Alex says, there's no evidence the money will be spent on the team, right? If I were the Yorks, I'd diversify. Well, I mean, it's all coming out of the same pot of wealth. So, I would hope that they don't need this money just to continue operating the 49ers. And I think it's very clear that that's not the case. They're trying to purchase a soccer team in Scotland. They have purchased all of Leeds United, which is a soccer team in England. And that is an example of diversification. So they're obviously not financially constrained. They're trying to make investments that will appreciate all across the board. It's called 49ers Enterprises. That's the investment arm of the 49ers. But I think in general, you try to do as well as you can on the business side of things. And if you have an opportunity to sell up to 10% at such a high valuation, that's going to increase the general pot that you're working from. And the larger the general pot is, the greater your spending ability will be on the 49ers themselves. They are also making major stadium renovations. Yes, Levi's Stadium is going to have the largest amount of video board space of any North American stadium starting this season. Every single time I'm at the facility, I'll be back there early next week. I see all the workers up there. They're on scaffolding, and they look tiny. They look tiny compared to the new scoreboards that are going up. It's not going to be the largest scoreboard itself. The largest one probably is still at Jerry World in Dallas, but the total scoreboard square footage is going to be the greatest in North American sports. Levi's is going to become the first stadium to ever host a Super Bowl and a World Cup in the same year, come 2026. And the 49ers are going to do their best to make it to that Super Bowl. They received excellent news yesterday regarding their schedule when it comes to potentially making the Super Bowl. Those of you who are unfamiliar, if you weren't watching yesterday, 49ers will have 5 primetime games this year. 4 of those 5 primetime games come against teams based in either the Eastern or the Central time zones. And Stanford's study from a few years back actually showed that West Coast teams fare much better in primetime games because of circadian rhythms. East Coast teams, it's too late for them to play in those games. The kickoff time is like 8:20 p.m. Eastern time, so those games don't get done until like midnight Eastern time. So the 49ers will have advantages in their primetime games. They may have some disadvantages in their 5, 10 a.m. early body clock starts, but they're playing the easiest schedule in the NFL when it comes down to record analysis, thanks to the fact that they finished in last place in 2024. Plus, the NFC West gets the matchup with the AFC South and the NFC South, and those were 2 of the worst divisions in football. NFL scheduling executive Mike North on the 49ers having a net positive net rest differential this year after negative in the past 2. We're certainly hopeful that we found a schedule this year that wasn't a significant negative total disparity for the 49ers. We happened to. But I wouldn't say that if we thought the very best schedule overall had the 49ers at -8 or -10 or -12, that we couldn't have played it. It would have been a factor, but maybe not a disqualifying one. That's funny. So the NFL is saying, well, yeah, the 49ers got a good positive net rest differential this year, but we still might have saddled them with a negative one if it had worked out for us. That wasn't the reason why we picked this schedule. That's what the NFL said. But the 49ers right now are thanking their lucky stars that this did not go as poorly as it did last season. They were -22 in net rest differential. That is 22 days less rest than their opponents when you added it up because of bye weeks and such that their opponents had, and they didn't heading into matchups last year. This year, the 49ers are at +9. So from -22 to +9 is a 31-day swing. That is the full length of a long month, 31 days for the 49ers. That is a huge, huge deal. On top of that, they also have the easiest strength of schedule when it comes to prior year's record, thanks to their last place finish and thanks to the fact that they get to play the AFC South and the NFC South this year. So all factors combined to sing for the 49ers yesterday. That was the best possible schedule release that San Francisco could ask for. It was wildly good news for the 49ers on Wednesday. The best net rest differentials in 2025. We can take a look at this. Mike is sending me some fire graphics today. Let's get all of these up on the screen. I'm going to get this graphically portrayed for everybody. I just have to find the window that can actually do this. All right, here we go. So this is from ESPN Analytics. And it looks like this. These are the best net rest differentials in 2025. I also have the worst net rest differentials in 2025. And what we have is the 49ers at, well, they don't have them +9. Guy Haberman had him at +9. This has him at +6. So we'll have to see who's right. But you get it. The 49ers are still in the positives in terms of net rest differential. It's the Lions, Dolphins, Seahawks, Cardinals. The NFC West has good net rest differentials. The entire division does. It would have been an absolute catastrophe for the 49ers had they been back in the negatives and the rest of their division was up here in the positives. That would have been a competitive inequity, even though the NFL doesn't seem to term this as such. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 49ers are 9th in the NFL in this regard. And then here you have the worst net rest differentials in the league. Ooh, the Raiders took one on the chin. -17 for the Raiders. Remember, just for perspective, last year the 49ers were at -22. So they were 5 days, basically a whole working week worse than the Raiders in terms of relative rest. That's what it looks like this year for San Francisco. Any questions about the schedule? Exciting times for the 49ers yesterday. The easiest strength of schedule in the entire NFL. Now, we already knew that part of it. We already knew the opponents for the 49ers. We knew their records in 2024. What we didn't know was the order, where the bye week would be, where the bye weeks of their opponents would be, what the rest setup would be like, what the travel would be like. That's all stuff that has come a little bit later, but now we do know it. I'm opening this up to a 49ers Q&A. This comment says, these owners aren't like what the Raiders did with Tom Brady. This is a financial investment. Well, you don't think it was a financial investment for Tom Brady? Tom Brady did not buy nearly as big of a stake of the Raiders as this. And also, he bought it at a discount, so it was definitely an investment. The league got to approve the discount at which Tom Brady purchased the Raiders. Mike, if you have that information, what the percentage and what the price was for Tom Brady, we could compare this. But all of these are financial investments. This is, nobody's just buying this like it's monopoly. These are all. Tom Brady has a 5% minority ownership stake in the Las Vegas Raiders. And how much did he buy it for? So this is 6% for the 49ers. Tom Brady bought 5%. And Brady bought it for $220 million. 5% stake for $220 million. So he bought it for less than half the price of this 6% stake, which is going to be in the 500s millions. So that's why the league had to approve it, because Mark Davis was willing to sell to Tom Brady at a huge, huge discount. Brady's purchase was at about a $3.5 billion valuation. And even though the Raiders are not as valuable as the 49ers, they are still a major brand that any list, Forbes has that top 10 list or top 50 list, will tell you the Raiders are worth more than $3.5 billion. Michael asks, is it odd that the 49ers aren't playing the Texans in the primetime game? Not really. I mean, the NFL has to determine a lot of different things when they make these schedules, and sometimes it just doesn't line up. The stars don't align for a primetime setup. So I wouldn't say that that's unusual or odd. Question here, is this a liquidity move? Yeah, well, it's a move to bring in some more cash, that's for sure. And why not? At an $8.5 billion valuation, you're bringing in over $500 million of cash at 6%. Miguel asks, the late buy. The buy is in week 14. It's the first time ever the 49ers have had a buy in week 14. And I think that this is really interesting to me because they have a lot of rookies this year. Rookies typically hit a wall at around the time that their bodies are used to the college season ending, which would be after November ends. So the 49ers bye falls on December 7th. This could help them with the rookie wall. It will allow the rookies to get some rest, refocus themselves for the home stretch of the season, during which their bodies won't necessarily be acclimated. I think the 49ers definitely prefer it over a very early season bye. Coaches will normally tell you that they'll prefer a bye right smack dab in the middle of the season. But given how rookie heavy the 49ers are, I don't think that this is the worst thing in the world. Now, it'll always ultimately be decided by where your health situation is specifically at that time of the year. So right now we can only speculate, and I find it funny that the buy comes right where the rookie wall would hit for the 49ers. The Chargers are also looking to sell an 8% stake of their team to the investment firm Arctos. That's from Daniel Popper, who is the Athletics Chargers reporter. It will be interesting to see what kind of valuation the Chargers can sell at, but one of the reasons they moved from San Diego to LA is they feel their valuation's higher in LA. I still call them the San Diego Chargers because I fundamentally disagree with the move, but the Chargers are trying to sell. If you're constantly on the move or just tired of skipping meals, Huel has you covered. They're today's sponsor, spelled Huel, H-U-E-L, and their Black Edition ready to drink is a total game changer. It's a complete meal in one bottle with 35 grams of protein, 27 vitamins and minerals, high fiber and low sugar, so you feel full, focused, and ready for your day. No prep, no cleanup, just grab and go. Huel's already sold over 500 million meals around the world. Now it's your turn to try it. New customers get 15% off, plus a free gift at Huel.com when you use my code Lombardi. Don't miss out. Try it today. That's 15% plus a free gift for new customers using my exclusive code Lombardi at Huel.com. Please see our description for the terms and conditions. Skip the stress, not the nutrition. Try Huel today for complete nutrition bottled. And sign up for channel memberships and sign up for the San Francisco Standard. We've got this whole story on the 49ers record-breaking sale at that massive valuation. That is all up in the description. So check that out. Sign up for channel memberships and you will have first dibs, first look at that Upton Stout video that I did from Western Kentucky. Definitely worth it. Go do it right now. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you guys soon.